Welcome to the Fantasy Happy Hour. Fantasy Happy Hour. Presented by Sportsneak. With your hosts, Justin Sauce and Terry Licious. Starting in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. Another episode of Fantasy Happy Hour, episode 70. On the edited version, you will not hear that, but I forgot to pause it via version 1 of the intro. But for our Thursday nighter here, we got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Miami Dolphins. This one is probably going to be a little bit of a blowout depending on a few things here. But first things first, Taryn, I just want to talk about this. I don't know if I've seen this or not for a long time in a showdown. We got Lamar Jackson coming in at almost 50% of your salary if you captain him at 20,700. Have you seen that lately?
I think we've only seen that once in a matchup where I think it was it Lamar or Mahomes, where they were both like 20K if you either to captain, like the quarterback's that high. But outside of that, no, he is probably one of the highest priced you'll see all season.
Yeah, just bananas. And of course, going into this one, we got a variety of Q tags, which I'm assuming will come off by Thursday night. But we got Marquez Brown, Tua Tagovailoa, Latavius Murray, Sammy Watkins, a lot of key players up there with Q tags, Taryn. What do y'all got for this showdown? And what do you got on some of these injuries here?
Well, the Tua one's really the question mark is whether he comes back. The one thing I do like about Tua being questionable is that the Dolphins don't seem to change who their receiving core is, whether it's Tua or Jacoby Brissett. Like it seems like the same two guys, and I'll get to them later, get all the work regardless who's in. So that's a good sign. Marquise Brown tends to, or Hollywood Brown, whatever you want to call him, he tends to play. He's always got the Q tag. He's one of those guys week over week that's always going to get a tag if he has a minor injury. He's like a DeAndre Hopkins. I expect him to play. Sammy Watkins hasn't played for a while. That's the play that really hinges me more on a lineup build because I really like the guy playing right behind him who's looked really good. And then Latavius Murray, the run game for the Baltimore Ravens has been pretty much abysmal the last 3-4 weeks. So I don't have a lot of faith anywhere in there. Maybe he can boost that, but not a great team to run on. I mean, the Dolphins aren't great, but they've been putting up a decent defensive showing. And we also, for the first time ever, Justin, I don't know if you looked into this, the Ravens come back, crush my Vikings. The Dolphins come out and destroy your Texans last week in defensively. So we both are coming off very heartbreaking losses, mine more particularly, where the Vikings give up a 20-point lead or whatever it was. But so these teams are both coming off wins, both kind of via the defense coming through late. The Vikings kind of crushed them early, but overall, the Baltimore's offense starts with Lamar. And I mean, highest priced guy on this slate, but can you really avoid it? Probably not in this game. It'd be tough. It's the way to get different is probably him and fading him, but you're going to be about 8% probably of the people, and likelihood he goes off is pretty high. And then the QB carousel, I called it over there in Dolphins land. I don't know. Neither rush game is very good in this team, either of these teams. The Dolphins haven't had a rusher go more than 50 yards, I think, in the last 3 weeks, but Gaskin tends to get in the end zone, which kind of saves them. Defense is very inconsistent. Both haven't looked great in spots and then looked really good. I mean, when they played the Texans last week, that's kind of an anomaly. I think both defenses had, what was the total, 7 picks in that game? I don't know, your thing will come out later this week.
You got to forget that it was not a bad week for the Texans whatsoever. The Jaguars lost, and that means we're that much closer to getting a 1 or 2 overall pick. Great week for Texans.
Oh, yeah. That is true. That's a huge game where Buffalo somehow loses to Jacksonville 9-6 of all things to happen. But I'll verge right into a lineup, and I started looking at captains in this game, and I just couldn't seem to get away from that price tag, even though it's that high. I like Lamar right away. His rushing seems to be back. I think he went for 120 there last week. The only thing to worry about with Lamar is if they're winning too heavily. He doesn't use his legs as much, doesn't need to. But I mean, the guy's averaging 27.3 per game. So your floor is probably 20 points with him. I expect him to get at least 50 on the ground regardless, just to get ahead early, possibly getting in on his legs. And I mean, he's throwing the ball a lot more. So this is a good spot for that. And with the such a bad run game lately. I mean, it might have to be him. I think then I moved down in the lineup, and this is where I went to a guy. I think this will be more unique because he's kind of priced high at 5,800. That's Rashad Bateman. And I think people like him, but his price is awfully high for the third guy in. And even if Watkins plays, I kind of like him. He's been getting, I think he had 8 targets last week, 5 for 52. Duvernay got the touchdown, I believe. So that's kind of bad news for Bateman, but Bateman did get one a couple weeks back. I think he's just a really good play. Even with Watkins in, he kind of becomes that third wide receiver. And then I packed in the big 2 here for the Dolphins because quarterback on the Dolphins never feels good to play, but they throw the ball to Jalen Waddell. I pile on the 1 yard screens and whatever they want to do. But the one game I watched with Jalen Waddell, he got, I think, 4 receptions for 15 yards. Like they're throwing it to him like 2 yards in and he's just getting tackled instantly, but he gets a pile of those. So good news on that front. I mean, the guy I think he's averaging close to 8 targets now a game through kind of, I guess it'd be 9 weeks we're into. So yeah, 12 and 10 targets last 2 weeks. He's one of my favorite plays. He would be my option to captain if I wanted to go to the Dolphins side, would be Jalen Waddell. But in this lineup, and then you put him with the other guys, probably the second best wide receiver on this team, and that's Mike Gesicki, 7,400, second best receiving option. He gets about 7 targets a game. So these guys get tons of work. We expect them to be down in this game, which means the ball's going to get thrown a lot. So overall, those are the 2 guys on the Dolphins I like to kind of counterbalance the Lamar, because he doesn't tend to, blow up on his other side. If he does, it's usually through Mark Andrews. So that would be the guy to look for. But then I kind of had to fit in salary. I think I ended up with about $7,000 left here. And I went to a kicker, which you can expand on, Justin Tucker, one of my favorite guys to play. He averages 10 points a game. He's one of the best kickers in the league. He hits one of those 50-yard bombs, and, you're already kind of hoping that he hits one of those and then he can get one more, and you're probably right up to where you need to be with him. And then I had to find somebody cheap, and that's tough in this game. But I went to Salvin Ahmed, hoping that he's a long shot, gets in the end zone. Somehow Gaskins, finally they pull him because he can't really run the ball well enough. And this guy came out last year, I think it was, when they were already down quite a few games. They weren't going to make it very deep, and he kind of found his way. So I like him. Hope he gets in the end zone. I think the D are in play, but I don't know what I favor in this one. But watch for teams now. We're hitting that point in the season where you got to watch if they have any desire to keep going. So you might see more usage from the backups now and see how your rookies kind of pan out. It's still a bit early, but I mean, 2-7 Dolphins, you're starting to see that point. They still have a chance because their division's kind of weaker, but the Ravens certainly need this game. That division's tight, so look to that. Got any questions, Justin?
No, but we'll bring it over to the double doink section here, where I'll give you a dose of both kickers. And you already mentioned we got Justin Tucker on the Baltimore Ravens here. Excellent option. As he said, it's 66-yarder earlier in the season. That's his long. 9.9 fantasy points per game average. Just insane in terms of kickers. Not insane, but good. Real good. He's 94% on field goals for the year. So that's 16 for 17, 100% on the extra point, and he's knocked out 3+ 50-yarders. So as you said, he gets one of those and maybe just another, 40-yarder. You're sitting pretty for the night. Again, nothing to worry about on the TD side because he's got 100% for the season. On the other side of the ball, we're going over to Sanders here. This might be a bit more of a fade. 69% on field goals for the season, 9 for 13, a little bit ugly. 100% though on the extra point, but we're not seeing the Dolphins score a whole lot of touchdowns. It's not really that impressive. The one thing that is kind of intriguing here though is 2 of his field goals this season are 50+ yarders. 51 is the long, so he's got a 50 and a 51, but only 5 fantasy points per game, 5.6 to be exact. So it would be different, but you need the Miami offense to really put up a good fight in order for it to be worth it. So I'm giving him the fade. I'm giving Justin Tucker the thumbs up this week for the double doinks. But that's really all I got to add. If we're good to go, Taryn, I'm good to close it out here.
Yeah, we're good.
Perfect. Sweet. Well, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. Let us know who you're picking in the comments. We'll keep you updated with some injury news in the comments down below too, and some Q tags throughout the week. And if you enjoyed it, give it a like and a thumbs up. And if you really liked it, subscribe. That'd be sweet. We're 20 subscribers away from getting 100 for the year so far. So that'd be dope. Peace.